The Ministry of Truth, a biography of George Orwell's 1984, by Dorian Lynskey, read by Andrew Wincott. It's a sad commentary on our age that we find dystopias a lot easier to believe in than utopias. Utopias we can only imagine, dystopias we've already had. Margaret Atwood. There was truth and there was untruth, and if you clung to the truth even against the whole world, you were not mad. George Orwell, 1984. Introduction. December 1948. A man sits at a typewriter, in bed, on a remote island, fighting to complete the book that means more to him than any other. He is terribly ill. The book will be finished, and a year or so later, so will the man. January 2017. Another man stands before a crowd, which is not as large as he would like, in Washington, D.C., taking the oath of office as the 45th President of the United States of America. His press secretary later says that it was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. Asked to justify such a preposterous lie, the president's advisor describes the statement as alternative facts. Over the next 4 days, U.S. sales of the dead man's book will rocket by almost 10,000%, making it a #1 bestseller. When George Orwell's 1984 was published in the United Kingdom on June 8, 1949, in the heart of the 20th century, one critic wondered how such a timely book could possibly exert the same power over generations to come. 35 years later, when the present caught up with Orwell's future, and the world was not the nightmare he had described, commentators again predicted that the book's popularity would wane. Another 35 years have elapsed since then, and 1984 remains the book we turn to when truth is mutilated, language is distorted, power is abused, and we want to know how bad things can get. Because someone who lived and died in another era was clear-sighted enough to identify these evils, and sufficiently talented to present them in the form of a novel that Anthony Burgess, author of A Clockwork Orange, called an apocalyptical codex of our worst fears. 1984 has not just sold tens of millions of copies. It has infiltrated the consciousness of countless people who have never read it. The phrases and concepts that Orwell minted have become essential fixtures of political language, still potent after decades of use and misuse. Newspeak, Big Brother, The Thought Police, Room 101, The 2 Minutes Hate, Doublethink, Unperson, Memory Hole, Telescreen, 2 + 2 = 5, and The Ministry of Truth. Its title came to dominate a calendar year, while the word Orwellian has turned the author's own name into a capacious synonym for everything he hated and feared. The book has been adapted for cinema, television, radio, theatre, opera, and ballet. It has prompted a sequel, Jurgi Dalosch's 1985, a postmodern rewriting, Peter Huber's Orwell's Revenge, the 1984 palimpsest, and innumerable retorts. Even the writing of the book has inspired a 1983 BBC drama, The Crystal Spirit, Orwell on Jura, and a 2017 novel, Dennis Glover's The Last Man in Europe. 1984 has influenced novels, films, plays, television shows, comic books, albums, advertisements, speeches, election campaigns, and uprisings. People have spent years in jail just for reading it. No work of literary fiction from the past century approaches its cultural ubiquity while retaining its weight. Dissenting voices such as Milan Kundera and Harold Bloom have alleged that 1984 is actually a bad novel, with thin characters, humdrum prose, and an implausible plot. But even they couldn't gainsay its importance. As Orwell's publisher Frederick Warburg observed, its success
Sample complete. Ready to continue?